Hello everyone, and welcome to my 5th Java video tutorial. And in this video I'm going to be going over primitive operators. So remember the small program that we created on one of our previous videos? We're actually going to go ahead and recycle that. So make sure your code looks just like this. Alright? So we're going to create two variables on here, and they're going to be of type int. So we'll go ahead and type in int, and then we'll call it var1, and we'll assign it the value of 8. Okay, and then we'll create our second variable, also of type int. We'll call it var2, and then we'll assign it the value of 2. Okay. Now, as you probably remember, anything that goes inside of the parentheses of the system.out.println instruction gets output onto this console window. So as you can see, I put var1 on there, and if I run it, you can see that it shows the number 8, or the contents of var1, right? If I were to change this to 0, the contents are now 0. We'll go ahead and change it back to 8. Alright, so what if I wanted to add var1 and var2 together? The way I would do this is by typing var1 plus var2. You would use the plus symbol to add both variables together, and sure enough, you get 10, because 8 plus 2 is 10, right? And you can also use the minus sign to subtract. So that would be 8 minus 2, that's 6, right? If you want to multiply, you could use the asterisk. It would be 8 times 2, which is 16. And if you want to divide, you use the forward slash, which is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. Okay. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is if we create another variable of type int and assign, var1 plus var2, we can go ahead and display var3. As you can see, what's happening here is it's getting 8 plus 2, and it's throwing the answer, which is 10, into var3, and then we're throwing var3 into this system.out.println instruction. What you can also do is you can put 8 plus 2 in here, which will also give you 10. Or you can also just display 10 on there. Cool. The reason I'm showing you this is just so you know that you can write things in many different ways. There are so many different ways you can write and do things in computer programming. So just remember that, and it really depends on what you're writing, what you're coding. But just know that there are many different ways of doing things. All right, and the next thing I want to go over is the order of operations. So if you probably remember this from elementary school or middle school. Now, PEMDAS is an acronym that helps me remember the order of operations. And the P in PEMDAS stands for parentheses. E stands for exponents. M stands for multiplication. A stands for addition, S stands for, you guessed it, subtraction. All right, so let's go ahead and go over an example. So if we were to type in 4 times, and then in parentheses, we'll go ahead and reuse var1 plus var2. So if we look at this from left to right, you would think, okay, well, we would do 4 times 8, which is 32, plus 2, which is 34, right? Makes sense. So if you go ahead and run this, it actually gives us the number 40. And the reason for this is because it's following the order of operations. As you can see, it first looks at the innermost parentheses and works its way out. So first it does this var1 plus var2. Okay, so var1 is 8, var2 is 2, so it gets 10, right? Then it does exponents, but there are no exponents on here, so we could skip that. Then it does multiplication, so it does 4 times the sum of var1 plus var2, which is 10. 4 times 10 is 40. Then it goes on to division, but there's no division on here. So we go on to addition, but we already did this addition. We'll skip that. And there is no subtraction. So it's 40, and that's how we get 40 out of that. So just know that, not just in computer programming, but math in general, you have to follow the order of operations. All right, and the next thing I want to go over is called the increment and decrement operators. So go ahead and delete this. Okay, now what if I asked you, how would you add a 1 to var1? Well, pretty simple, right? You just write var1 plus 1, right? And then that would add a 1 to 8. Yep, fair enough. That's the right answer. But there is actually another way of writing this. And the way you do it is you do plus plus before the variable. And this is called the increment operator. And as you know, var1 is 8, but if we run it with that plus plus right before it, it'll actually display 9. Okay, and you could also do minus minus if you want to decrease the value by 1. So now it's 8 minus 1, which is 7. Now there's another way of writing this, which is actually after the variable. But this is completely different because, I guess I'll just go ahead and show you. So var1 plus plus, you would think it would show 9, but it actually shows 8. So what's going on here? The reason it shows 8 is because when you put the plus plus or minus minus after the variable, what happens is the computer actually executes this system.out.println instruction first, and then it increments the variable by 1. So it's outputting this 8 onto the screen, and then it's adding the 1. But because the addition of 1 happens after the output, we don't really see it on the screen. This plus plus minus minus after the variable is mostly used in loops, such as for loops, and we'll be going over for loops in future videos. But if you want to go ahead and update the value by 1 right away, you would have to do it before the variable. Okay, so that's 9, and we could also go ahead and do it to var2. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it what I want to go over in this video. Again, my name is Andre. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this, please stay tuned for my next video tutorial where I will go over strings. Thank you very much, and see you next time.